Well, I think going through my particular ordeal and having the opportunity to speak to players, not only in the game of hockey but in other sports, um, during my difficulties, and then following that, mentoring somewhat or to some degree players after me who were suffering from post-concussion, the one realization I came to was the fact that no two concussions are the same. But with that being said, there are certainly symptoms that are prevalent in a lot of concussions, and that includes headaches, dizziness, double vision, ringing of the ears, and certainly lethargy and the emotional gamut. But the one message that I would certainly be remiss if I didn't share was the fact that if you don't feel right, you probably aren't right. For me, being behind the bench for my two boys' hockey teams, and being through, having my own personal history with post concussion, for me it's a little more visible when a player appears to be concussed or suffering from some type of head trauma. Certainly, a dazed look when they come to the bench, loss of memory, lack of focus, and all of those are certainly at the forefront immediately following any concussion or head trauma incident in any sporting event. Surprisingly, some of the symptoms associated with post-concussion aren't necessarily visible moment to moment or hour to hour or even day to day. Again, we go back to some of the most prevalent symptoms, including headaches, which would be an obvious symptom of post-concussion. Fatigue, if they're sleeping abnormally, more than what they would normally sleep on any given night, or even taking a nap during the middle of the day. But other signs that parents can look for is their child's inability to finish homework, inability to focus on their homework, and just a different personality. So the advent of some emotional distress that would be sure signs that there's possibility of post-concussion. The first thing that you need to do if you fear that your child is suffering through post-concussion is to seek out medical attention, whether it's your own pediatrician or getting them to a specialist, a neuro specialist. It's very important that your child gets medical attention, sometimes even immediately. If they're having difficulty concentrating in school, getting schoolwork done, it's not uncommon to see kids stay home for a day or two or even an extended period of time in order to get through the early difficulties of post-concussion and head trauma, and get them rest, keep them out of activity and get them the appropriate rest needed. If they are sleeping abnormally or sleeping more than normal, that's because their brain is telling them they need that rest, and it's a definite course of action and definitely a way of getting them back to health. I think a big part of the equation is the education of our parents and our coaches. A lot of programs around the nation and certainly different parts of both Canada and the U.S. have mandated a certain protocol for return to play, as well as baseline testing for a lot of amateur athletes. And I think that's a huge step in the right direction if we're going to continue to provide a safe environment for our children and keep them safe and healthy during their active participation in sports. Again, I think that part of the conversation is the education and awareness provided by our parents and coaches. I think if we show a true amount of respect or lack thereof that resonates with our children, and certainly need to provide the right example in order to keep our kids safe in whatever activity they may be performing. Equipment, sporting equipment, especially in the game of ice hockey, has been at the forefront. It was certainly a leading candidate for discussion when discussing post-concussion and head trauma, and I wouldn't disagree. I don't know if that's necessarily, for me, where the most attention needs to be placed, but when outfitting our kids or explaining to them, the use of the equipment, it's important that we make them understand that it's for protection and not meant to be used as a weapon. Our approach throughout our organization is a certain level of discipline and respect, and we expect it not only from our coaches and our players, but from our parents. We expect to be held to a certain certain standard of accountability, and if we're not willing to stay true to that code of conduct, then there's no place for you among our organization, and we've had tremendous success with that type of approach. And again, let's not lose sight of the fact that it's minor athletics, it's youth sports, and we're here for the experience for our children and nothing less. I think the most important item on any checklist going into a particular season is the ability to address these situations heading into the season. To be proactive is imperative. To lay the ground rules, to set a code of conduct that is exemplary and holds everybody to the same standard is the most important dynamic of youth sports. It's the platform for which we deliver education and awareness. Play a Cool program allows us to get the word out to the masses, enables us to spread the message of safe hockey and how to play safe hockey. And the more people that come into contact, the quicker we spread the word, and the safer we keep our children.